Hey friends, welcome back to the Guitar Max channel. And wha-bam, I've got two very cool guitars right here. I've got a Firefly and I've got a Westcreek. But I think a lot of people are looking at these guitars and thinking, hey, those are pretty similar. Is that just the same company making them and then they slap a different label on the headstock? Now these are both Explorer type guitars and admittedly at first glance they are very, very similar. Just look at the fretboard, inlays, and the headstocks. And a lot of people like these guitars. These are two big brands in today's affordable guitar market. Firefly has been around for a few years. They've come a long way, really been expanding their lineup lately. Westcreek is a little more recent. They're really making a name for themselves in terms of their build quality for the amount of money you're spending. And that being said, the Westcreek guitars do cost a little bit more than the Firefly guitars, but not by much. Both of these guitars are under $300. So in today's video, we're going to look at the similarities and the differences between these two guitars and see if we can figure out, are these just the same guitar with different brand names slapped on them? Or are they actually truly two different guitars made by different companies? Okay guys, so to start with, let's look at the similarities between these two guitars. Now I'm going to be showing you a bunch of close-ups and side-by-side comparisons. So yeah, the first obvious similarity is the headstock shape. It's pretty much identical. The shape is the same and both guitars have the angled back headstocks, so they have no string trees or string retaining bars. And if we go down from there, the necks and the fretboards are pretty much identical. They both have big perloid block inlays, they both have rosewood fretboards, and importantly, they both have 22 of the rounded ball-end stainless steel frets. Now, if we look at the bodies, the similarities continue. First of all, these are both set neck guitars. The bodies are both mahogany. I should mention all of the materials on the guitars are the same. Mahogany necks, mahogany bodies, rosewood fretboards, stainless steel frets. And on those bodies, they have the same pickup configuration. 2 humbuckers, single tone knob, and 2 volume controls, and a 3-way toggle switch. No coil splitting on either guitar. Both guitars have generic hardware, and they both have that same Gibson-style stop bar tailpiece and bridge. They even have similar finishes. Obviously, one is purple and one is blue, but they both have flame burst finishes with a flame maple veneer. And the other thing I want to mention here is that when you play these guitars, they feel the same. It's the same neck profile and thickness and nut width. Okay, so those are the similarities. There are a lot of them, and it's easy to see why some people might think that these are the same guitar with just a different brand name slapped on there, and they change the truss rod covers, little tiny details like that. But there are some actually big differences on these guitars. So let's look a little more closely here. If we look at the bodies, the lower horn and actually the short upper horn, those are both different between the two guitars. The Firefly has a sort of chopped off lower horn and it has a much rounder top horn or top bump there. Compared to the Westcreek, which is like sharper horns both on the top and on the bottom. Also, the Westcreek on the back of the body has that notch there. The Firefly just has one long, smooth curve on the back of the body. Also, take a look at the difference between these neck joints here. And this, to me, is kind of a big deal. To me, this really suggests that these are actually made in different factories. Because why would they bother changing the neck joint considering they're both set neck guitars? To me, the difference in the neck joint, and to be honest, I kind of prefer the one on the Westcreek guitar, it's a little smoother, but to me the difference in the neck joint suggests that these might have been made in different factories. Now another difference, which is less of a big deal, is the pickups, just the look of the pickups. I mean, these could be identical pickups in terms of how they're manufactured, but one's like a zebra style with the white bobbin and the black bobbin, and the other one on the Westcreek guitar is just a standard all black humbucker pickup. And on the subject of controls, there's one more difference, which I think is another really important one, actually on the back of the bodies, and that is the placement and the shape of the control cavities on the back of the body are different between the two guitars. Okay, so we've got some similarities and some differences, but now let's go ahead and plug in both of these guitars and see if they sound the same or if there's any difference in the sound. I'm going to use the same amp configuration for both, and we'll go ahead and plug these in and do an A/B sound test. Now, real quick, guys, if you enjoy videos like this, checking out cool new guitars and staying up on all the latest news in the guitar universe, and you have not already subscribed for some reason, please consider subscribing right now. Okay, let's go ahead and plug these in and listen to how they sound. Okay guys, so let's talk about the sound of these guitars. And something that really surprised me is there actually is quite a difference in the sound between these two guitars. Now I was using the Boss IR2 amp and cabinet simulator pedal that I borrowed from Dovidas, but same settings on there for both guitars. And there was actually quite a difference in the neck pickup, at least the sound with using the neck pickup on these guitars. In general, to me, the Firefly guitar just sounded not quite as punchy as the Westcreek. And like I said, I really noticed it when I would switch to the neck pickup position. The Westcreek had a noticeably hotter sound when I would switch to the neck pickup. And I would say just in general, a little bit brighter sounding. So whether I was on the high gain or the cleaner setting, this guitar to me sounded a little bit brighter. And keep in mind, both guitars have the same body woods, scale length, all that stuff, you know, gauge of strings, everything is identical. Now the sound can be chalked up to, well, it could just have a different model of pickups between the two guitars, or there might be some slight differences in the wiring or the quality of soldering, you know, little things like that within the electronics. The playability of the guitars is pretty much identical. Like I said, it's the same neck profile, same dimensions of the neck, scale length, all that stuff is the same. They both have gloss finishes all over the guitar, including the back of the neck. And like I said, I do prefer the neck joint on the Westcreek guitar. It's a little shorter. The neck joint on the Firefly kind of extends onto the neck a little bit more, but you really only notice that when you're playing on the highest of the frets. Okay guys, so after all of that, my final word on this here is I believe these guitars are not made in the same factory. They're not made by the same manufacturer or anything like that. I think these are actually two similar but truly different guitars. Now certainly these days there are a lot of guitars where they're made in the same factory and then just it's like a private label sort of situation where it just has a different label on it and maybe a different paint job, something like that. And there are also certainly factories which manufacture for many different brands. But I think these two guitars, really when it comes down to it, they're not the same guitar with different names. Now the reason I think this, to me there's two big giveaways. One is the neck joint, and the other one is the shape of the control cavities on the back of the body. It might be kind of like, well, what difference does that make? It doesn't make any difference to the guitarist, you know, the person playing it. But to me, those are the kinds of differences that it just doesn't make sense that the same factory would have differences like that between different brand labels that they make. The factory would have to be building all of these different bodies, and now they have to say, well, okay, these bodies are really, really similar except for the shape of the control cavity and the way the neck attaches. But what do you guys think? There are still some pretty big similarities, like they both have these rounded ball-end stainless steel frets, they have the same fretboard inlays, and then of course, that headstock shape. That's pretty similar. Guys, let me know what you think about all this down in the comments section below. Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm right? And also, does it matter to you? There's still a lot of other steps, you know, the QC and the setup of the guitar. That's going to differentiate the guitars to you, the guitar player, you know, the final customer. So even if these guitars were made in the same factory, does that make a big difference to you? Let me know down in the comments section below. Now guys, I'm going to have links to my original reviews of these individual guitars down in the video description below. Plus I'll have links to the guitars themselves where you can go and purchase them if you want to, plus a link for the Boss IR2 amp and cabinet simulator pedal, and all of my social media, all that stuff. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll talk to you very soon.